Hello guys, welcome to Talking News, Chasing a Murderer. Please like and subscribe right now so you don't forget. Also hit that notification bell if you would like notifications. So guys, we're working on part 7 of the Lori Vallow Then and Now. We're all still locked up because of this horrid pandemic going. I'm having to record outside once more guys, so bear with us. You may hear some background noise, and also I've had a lot of notifications lately. There's some notifications I need coming in. So on part 6, we kind of covered up toward the very beginning of August, and we're finding out that, the kids are, the Woodcocks are concerned about JJ. So we're going to go ahead and start at August 10th of 2019. On that date, the Woodcocks, the grandparents of JJ, say that they FaceTimed JJ that day for only 35 seconds. They also said that that would be one of the last times that JJ was ever seen, or any of the two children by them anyways, for that matter. So according to the Woodcocks, it said that when they were FaceTiming JJ for those few seconds, it appeared that someone was monitoring what JJ said. I guess they were expecting a call back because they mentioned that JJ never called them back. And this is something they expected on a regular basis because, they talk to JJ all the time. Also in August, they moved the children, JJ and Tylee, to Rexburg, Idaho. If I can spit it out. Now, the Woodcocks said they were not able to get a hold of JJ. This is very concerning to them, and they actually reached out to Life Academy, one of the schools that JJ attended. And this is sometime mid to late August, so I'm not sure where to put that in, so I went ahead and just put it in here. If you want to look at more on that story, you can see it on KTVB7. Meanwhile, sometime in August of 2019, Chad attends a conference in St. George where he sets up a table to sell his books. Someone said that they asked Chad, where Tammy was, and he said that Tammy was not at the conference because she was working. You can find this on the Rexburg Standard Journal. Okay guys, it's really windy today, so sorry about the noise. So on August 22nd of 2019, Lori makes a podcast with one of her good friends, Melanie Gibb, and it's titled Feel the Fire, Seeking and Finding Sweet Jesus. Around August 30th of 2019, Colby Ryan talks to Tylee by means of FaceTime. And really after that, he couldn't reach her, and so I want to go ahead and mention that now. He said that his mom always seemed to have an excuse why Tylee could not come to the phone after this. A little bit of time has passed since Charles has passed away, and it's August 30th. On this date, Lori Vallow returns JJ's service dog, Bailey. So what we're hearing is that Bailey went back, or was returned back to the kennel from which the dog was purchased. Anyways, the people that come to pick up the dog said that Lori was in the middle of moving. She had an SUV in the middle of the driveway, and they were throwing bags in there. JJ was in the back seat on his tablet. But the person that witnessed this that day said they never saw Tylee. When Lori finally brought the dog out, she asked if they had found a home for Bailey. Then Lori says, well, if Tylee asks, just tell her you have, because she's really upset about all this. Which makes no sense to me because Lori was actually planning on just selling the dog to make a quick buck. Tylee didn't seem very upset to her when she was doing that, so that's interesting. And I forgot to mention, guys, that Lori had actually called this man who trained JJ's service dog, telling him to come get the dog now because she was moving. She also informed him, that Charles had died, and also that they were moving to Idaho to be near her daughter who was in school. The thing is nobody knew about another daughter other than Tylee unless she was talking about Tylee, which no one's really certain who she was talking about. Lori says it's just too hard to talk about. So right here we witness her manipulating and lying once again. So sometime on August 30th of 2019, Lori, Tylee, JJ drive up to Colby's workplace in Tylee's Jeep, which was actually Charles' Jeep before he passed away. So according to Colby, he said they come out to talk to him briefly and they tell him about moving the next day. He said his mother and his siblings hugged him, but when they did, he was not aware that they were leaving Arizona, nor did he know where they were moving to. But at the time, he realized that, with Charles, what happened with Charles, and the fact that she had told him that Charles was cheating on her, he thought that was a good move for the family. Before she finally left, Lori told Colby that she actually got a new job. He said at the time, he told her about the job, but didn't tell her what the job was or where it was. When Lori makes this move, her niece, Melanie Boudreaux, is following right behind her shortly. I just want to make sure I mention that. So in the month of September, we're going to start that now. Colby, which is Tylee's older brother, says that he hears from Tylee, but those communications become less frequent. So according to court filings, both the children are with Lori when they moved to a condo that's at 565 Pioneer Road in Rexburg on September 1st. Residents who lived in that area report that they did see both children after they moved in. But at this time, people are not really clear as to why Lori moved. It's very unclear, even today, really. But according to a neighbor, Lori told her that she moved to attend school. But Tylee had actually told a friend, and you can find this in the Post-Register, that they were moving because Lori had gotten a job there. So maybe she's referring to these podcasts and stuff that she's doing with the chat group. Now, information starts to pop up a while after, and one of the things that we heard was Joe Pongratz, which was Lori's landlord of the Chandler home. He asked Lori to move her family out of that home, in which they did on August 31st. So maybe that's the reason they moved so quickly. According to a friend, Tylee originally planned to stay in Arizona and move in with her friend, but decided she didn't want to leave JJ. And this is the same thing that Colby would say in interviews later. They both mentioned that she was very, very protective of JJ. But during this time, at least somewhere in this timeline here, people that are talking to Lori, she's telling them that Tylee is taking classes at Brigham Young University in Idaho, but there's no records of Tylee ever going or attending the school. In fact, I want to mention this just in case. Later on, Lori Vallow describes herself to Daybell's parents as an empty nester, so that's important. Now, guys, I am still working on this timeline, but sometime after August, Colby's getting text messages that come and go with Tylee, but sometimes he really doesn't feel like it's Tylee. So also on September 1st or 2nd, somewhere around there, Lori has moved her children into this place along with her brother Alex and a friend from Arizona. And this is in Rexburg, Idaho, guys. Just making sure you guys know this. And if you want to look up more information on this, you can on Fox 13 Salt Lake City or the affidavit for probable cause. Also around this same time, Melanie Boudreaux, which is Lori Vallow's niece, left Arizona. She picked up in the middle of the night, and people know this because an investigator was watching her, which was hired by Brandon. And when Melanie left, she left the children's belongings on the sidewalk, and this is including items like a brand new and very expensive toys and things like that. And she later moved right next door to Lori Vallow in Rexburg. Brandon Boudreaux was able to provide photographs of those items sitting on the sidewalk, as well as a plane ticket to Idaho. Somehow the investigator also was able to get a hold of the lease agreement of her new apartment in Rexburg. On September 3rd of 2019, Lori enrolled JJ in Kennedy Elementary School in Rexburg, Idaho. On September 5th of 2019, approximately 7:26 a.m., Lori Vallow at the time sends an email to Life Academy in Arizona to withdraw JJ from school, saying she got a new job out of state. Besides the email, she really didn't follow the formal practice to withdraw JJ from that school, and they never received a request from JJ's new school, the Kennedy Elementary School in Rexburg, for transfer for his records. Also, in this email or letter, it makes a mention of Lori's husband dying last month, even though it had been nearly 2 months since Charles' death. But that's not all she lied about. She continued to lie on how Charles passed away, and she claimed that his death was due to a suicide, guys. So the lies keep piling up, and she's just manipulative. She'll say and do anything to continue living her life. I might hop around a little bit here, guys. So Lori explains in a September 5th email to JJ's school that Lawrence Institute for Education in Gilbert, Arizona, that yes, in fact, it was true. He won't be re-enrolling because the family had to move quickly. Again, she mentions an out-of-state job. Now, on some resources that I have, they're saying that when Lori withdraws her son from the school in Gilbert, she tells the school staffers that the family is moving immediately to California. So here we go. We have JJ's not attending school. And on September 8th, this is the very last time that Tylee was ever seen. And it was on a day trip to Yellowstone Park. Tylee Ryan was at Yellowstone Park with her brother, her mother, and her uncle, Alex Cox. They were able to later find the security videos and images of them at Yellowstone, but police are still asking if you were at Yellowstone around September 8th of 2019, look through your images and stuff and see if you can find anything. Maybe you have them in the background and you didn't know it. Anything might help police. Moving on to the next, I forgot to mention this. I need to put this in there. So September 6th of 2019, at 12:46 p.m., a neighbor takes a picture of JJ and Tylee standing over a pile of toys outside of their Rexburg apartment. A neighbor texts a photo to someone else who asked what's going on, and the neighbor replies, the new kid JJ brought a laundry basket of toys, mostly like stuffed plushie types, and dumped them all in a massive puddle in the corner of the grass. So I want to remind you guys that Alex Cox is living with them during this time. Melanie Boudreau left her husband and her children behind. She's living not too far away. Lori's going through and logging on accounts for JJ's school in between September 1st to September 7th at this time where I'm at on the timeline. So we're skipping back a little bit to September 7th. I want to mention that Chad's wife Tammy volunteers at Rexburg Rescue Run event, and Chad was not present with Tammy at that event. September 7th also, Lori does a podcast with her friend Melanie Gibb titled Field of Fire. Again, the subject is, what is a baptism of fire? We already know that September 8th, they're at Yellowstone. That's the last time that Tylee's seen. Lori Vallow is also in contact with JJ's nanny off and on. And on September 19th of 2019, the new nanny arrives to watch JJ. And when she walked inside, Lori mentioned how she was waiting for her brother to come and leave with her to the airport. According to the nanny, she said that Lori said that she was going to Idaho Falls Airport. She said her brother also lived here in Rexburg. Lori left with instructions saying that if she was to get home later to give JJ his medicine right before bed because it makes him tired fast. Lori joked about how she liked that because some days when he was extra tough for her to handle, she would give him his meds and have him go to bed early. According to the nanny, while Lori was gone, JJ has a meltdown. When Lori returns, she shows JJ an overwhelming amount of love, according to the nanny. On September 21st of 2019, a Book of Mormon Evidence and Universal Model of Science event is held in Rexburg. An event flyer on the website advertises, come to Yellowstone in September. So this is very curious. It makes you wonder, maybe Perhaps there's a camp somewhere, hopefully, that the kids are at. I'm hoping so, guys. I'm looking for anything positive, but, you know, I don't know. So it's very interesting because, you know, they have this Mormon event. They also, on September 23rd, this is about the last time JJ was seen at his school in Idaho anyway. So according to a few sources, JJ Vallow's last day at Kennedy Elementary School, Rexburg, was September 23rd. His mother tells the school officials she plans to homeschool him. This is the last documented sighting of JJ. But just a few days before this, and police really didn't find this until later on a doorbell camera, they found JJ playing with a neighbor. This is in September, days before he disappeared. Sorry guys, I have a lot of notifications coming in. I can't, it's just so many of them. So also on September 23rd, somewhere in anyway, Chad texts a filmmaker by the name of Devin Kay. Also, you have the equinox going on, so it's the last day of summer, first day of fall. All right, guys, so I'm not real familiar with this Hansen guy. There's a lot to take in, and he's one of the guys I haven't had a chance to research, but on September 23rd of 2019, Hansen sends Chad Daybell a thing. It says, "Thanks so much regarding a project to turn one of his books into a film." Hansen told Fox 13 that this is the last time he would hear from Chad Daybell, and all texts from Hansen would go to Chad pretty much unanswered. According to Hansen, he said Chad seemed very invested in the project and had traveled to Utah to meet with Hansen about it, but all of a sudden, you know, he had no interest. The project has since been canceled. So again, it says Chad texts, "Thanks so much," to Devin K. Hansen about the movie project, but nothing more. So around September 24th, we find out that the nanny, or the babysitter for JJ, Lori, contacts her and tells the babysitter, well, abruptly, according to her, that her services were no longer needed. And so this is because Lori tells her that JJ's going to stay with his grandmother in Arizona. And that's approximately 1,700 miles away in Louisiana. That's where she really lives, so it's confusing. So it's September 24th, 2019, and it's Tylee's 17th birthday. Nobody has reported seeing her on that day at all. And really, the only thing that police knew at the time from all this is that the last time the kids were actually seen on the 23rd and 24th of September. So it kind of went back and forth, and the dates kind of jumped. In some sources, it says that the nanny actually contacts Lori, and that's when she finds out that JJ is staying with his grandmother for several weeks. Some sources say that she said that, you know, JJ might even be there for a month. Okay, guys, so let's talk about September 18th. It's a little bit more on the nanny and what she saw at the Vallow's home. She said when she first met Lori, she met Lori at her Rexburg townhome to meet JJ. When she arrived, she said, quote, "She was very welcoming and gave me a hug. Their home was clean and had a picture of the temple on the wall. She explained to me, as we watched JJ play outside with the neighbor kids, some of his tendencies. He gets emotional easily, frustrated, distracted, has difficulty communicating with others, but can follow orders if you look at him right in the eyes," end quote. The nanny also told Lori about moving from Arizona. Quote, "She explained to me how they recently moved from Arizona. Her husband had just died of a heart attack and how JJ doesn't quite understand the situation. Lori said how she and her husband adopted JJ and that he was her nephew," end quote. The nanny also continues to say that Lori also talked about her daughter Tylee. Quote, "Her daughter also lives in Rexburg and is going to college. She said her daughter doesn't like to babysit JJ without being paid, so she wanted me to work for her. Occasionally, her daughter would come to visit for dinner. or to do laundry, but she never said that she lived there with them. It appeared that only Lori and JJ lived there, from the look of things, from what she told me, end quote. So this is very interesting. I think this is very important information. And so I should have put this before I told you guys about the where Lori is leaving. She's going to the airport, but this kind of come in later for me. I didn't find it until just today, in fact. So anyways, it's the September 19th that Lori is leaving, I believe, from Arizona. So the timeline, I'm having trouble putting that together because so much information, new information is coming in as I do this. But the main thing I'm looking for is clues on the children of who saw them last, what's going on with the children. Perhaps I keep thinking, I'm hoping that Lori wasn't able to do what we all suspect she did with the children. Something in the back of my mind and heart says that there's a chance that maybe these children are still alive. But we've all done these sort of stories, and most of the time they never turn out to be a happy ending. But we also know that Lori is a bit vindictive. We know that she likes to manipulate and lie, so perhaps maybe she was mad at the Woodcocks and has hidden the children from them. We can only hope for that, but we must also treat it as it's not that, so as something darker might have happened. But the nanny gives us some certain clues that we know that Tali doesn't seem to live in the apartment or the condo that she's living in. With she has Alex, her brother, living there. She has her niece living beside her, but nobody knows where Tylee is going, staying, and coming to, or from, for that matter. And what's really interesting is the fact that we hear Colby say that Tylee's very, very protective over JJ. But here Lori is telling the nanny that Tylee really doesn't care to watch JJ unless she's paid. So something doesn't make sense. So I just want to mention, guys, that Tylee supposedly was only seen on the Yellowstone Park footage September 8th. According to sources, there's other people that seen her, but you know, this is very interesting to me. This gives me a little bit of hope. It probably shouldn't, but I'd like to hold on to hope as long as you can. I would like to give the monsters a benefit of a doubt that they wouldn't stoop so low as to take out children. But from here on this timeline, guys, this is where things really start to get interesting. October is probably the most interesting part of this entire story. And things kind of start to click here, and you're trying to figure out between Lori and Chad Daybell who the bigger monster is. There's no doubt that they both are monsters, but which one is the lead? So guys, first I want to say, before we start on part 8, make sure you have popcorn, get you a snack, you know, get comfortable, your favorite pillow, and get ready for things to really heat up. So this is where we're going to start pulling up our notes and comparing them and trying to figure out exactly what these two are up to. Also, you need to make sure that during this pandemic, guys, that you guys are safe and, you know, you're using social distancing. Just be careful, guys. Don't get too comfortable. I know it's easy to forget. That's human nature. But it's really important that we don't forget how important it is to self-isolate, not to be social. Keep social distancing our #1 priority. I know in my neighborhood, we live like in townhomes, so we're like 6 feet from the sidewalk if we're at our door. And if we're on our middle of our porch, we're about 4 to 5 feet from people that are walking by, that are exercising and coughing, and they're not wearing masks. And they believe this is okay. They think because they're distance and in the open, they're safe. But the truth of it is, research is saying that people that are exercising are one of the big spreaders of this pandemic. So really, it's common sense. just try to use, self-control. Stay at home, especially if you live in apartments and townhomes. I want to say I love you guys. I'm really, I would like to know how you guys are doing. So if you guys have been touched by this pandemic, please comment me. I'll get to it eventually. So guys, here we go. We're going to go ahead and shut this down, and we're going to work on part 8 coming up.